Da, 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 da. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, KocoSports.com proudly presents Wrestle AM. It's half wrestling show, half morning show, pretty much all BS. And of course, you got the Coco crew here holding it down live. Yours truly, the sexiest man of all everyday wrestling radio. That's right, Boom Boom here, shaking the room live from the RVA, Richmond, Virginia. And of course, joining there way across the pond in Kawasaki, Japan, one take, Dave Coco.
Hey, what's going on, folks? All right, let's get down to business. Boom, boom. What's the
Yeah.
news story you want to talk about today, sir?
We got a lot of stuff to talk to. First of all, thank you for getting well. I know you had a little bout with the flu. Luckily, it wasn't the cooties, but it was the flu. So good to see you back.
Yeah, I had the privilege of having a what are they called? Q-tips jammed up my brain. So
Ah, yes.
everything's fine. We're back to business as always.
Well, they kept pushing it back, and they just never touched anything. Just hit the back of your skull. They're like, "What the fuck is it?" Okay.
All right,
Oh
boom,
well, a
boom. It's
lot of
great to be
man.
back, but let's focus on the project.
Yeah, a lot of okay. First thing before we get into the news, this is something that kind of broke last night during AEW Dynamite. During a promo, John Moxley let it slip that his wife Renee Paquette, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. If not, I apologize. Is now pregnant, so the couple is expecting their first child. So I want to give a big congratulations to Mox and Renee.
Congratulations. Good to know. So
Coco, Coco, I think this is really positive because Mox, I mean, he's not made it a secret about kind of the struggles he went through growing up. I mean, he grew up a poor kid in Cincinnati, and he kind of used professional wrestling as like an escape from reality, and he pursued it. I mean, he worked his way up through the Indies, and has just become like just a mega star. He hit number one, the PWI 500. So things are I'm glad to see a happy ending to this story here. And Coco, me and you kind of grew up in similar situations, opposite ends of the country, not having a lot growing up. But I mean, what is it like when you find out that oh crap, my wife is pregnant with my first child? Oh my God, what goes through your mind?
Um, a lot actually, and it hits different fathers at different times. But like, I remember I was living kind of a loosey goosey lifestyle, and what I mean by that is I was working with some shady people and doing some shady things. And I remember when she was born, I was like, oh, I'll never carry a gun and I'll never hurt someone again. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
really hurt them bad, and like that was the thing that changed. And I think having your first child, depending on your you how you live your life, it changes you. You're like, oh, okay, I want to be a better person. Because especially if you didn't have everything handed to you, or you didn't have the best guidance, there really isn't a value of doing the right thing. You know what I mean? Like people all the time. Like I teach, I teach martial arts. I teach children. I teach all that. I'm always talking about honor. But the reality is, the world you benefit way more in life when you don't have honor. Especially if you don't have money. And when you have a kid, it changes. You're like, oh, I don't want to keep living this lifestyle. So I think that's the thing. And hopefully, I don't know that, but he's on his own in AEW. He left. He's happier. So I think I'm glad he made the jump to freedom before he had a kid, because that's
Hmm.
a harder jump to make after you had a kid.
Hmm.
So that's about it. But yeah, it's one of the best things in the world, especially when they grab your finger. When they first born and grab your finger, it's pretty awesome.
Mm. And by the way, we should mention that almost 20 years later, your oldest baby is still your little girl. She's still your queen.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So I love her with all my heart.
All right. Enough of the mushy stuff. Even though that was fun, we got to get to the news here. I guess the biggest thing we have to talk about now is Zelina Vega, her firing. The challenging of independent contractor status in WWE, the possibility of unionization. It's a big can of worms we're about to open here. So, Coco, you're just going to have to bear with me here. All
Lay
right.
it
So
all
we're
out,
just gonna
sir.
for those of you who've been living under a rock or just need, for the sake of, posterity to have it repeated to you, Zelina Vega, whose real name is Thea Trinidad, she was fired from WWE this past Friday. Now, through Sports Illustrated, they confirmed is that she was fired for breach of contract because one of the things, well, because what happened was during this pandemic, a lot of the talent has been streaming on platforms such as Twitch and Cameo. She was on Twitch, and Vince McMahon said that all these people, you need to close these accounts, or it can count towards your downside guarantee. But basically, they wanted people off, and if you don't, it would be considered breach of contract. She kept hers up, and then what I think really sealed the deal for her was she opened an OnlyFans account. Now, for those of you who may not know what OnlyFans account, I'm old, I'm a nerd, and I really don't know because I'm not down and hip with the kids anymore and their rock and roll music and Pac-Man video games. OnlyFans is just like it's like a private account where for every like month, like you could go like somebody opens up an account, you give them X amount of dollars per month, in exchange you get content from that particular artist, performer, whatever you want to call them. Now, while it's not specifically set up for this, it has got a seedy reputation of a way to distribute pornography. Somebody will show you just topless photos or whatever if you pay them $30 a month. Now, she was offering. Now, to be fair, I want to make this clear. She was not offering pornographic material. She was offering cosplay and other non-nude pictures. So for $30 a month, like if she dressed up like Poison Ivy and took photos of it, if you were part of her OnlyFans account, you would get those photos, and only if you were subscribed to her OnlyFans account would you get those photos. And since OnlyFans has a bit of a seedy reputation, that's what sealed the deal, and that kind of put them into a bad situation. So they went ahead and let her go. And then immediately afterwards, it has been noted that Zelina Vega has been meeting with organizers from the Screen AFTRA, excuse me, the SAG-AFTRA, that's the Screen Actors Guild, and the American Federation of Television and Radio Actors or Association about possible unionization. So, Coco, I'm going to start getting into more stuff here. But real quick, just your take on the whole situation right now, the whole setup here, her refusing to get off Twitch and turn around and opening up a OnlyFans account.
Her and Paige are the only ones that have balls. Everyone else, the reason why Vince McMahon is a billionaire is he hires cowards. They're all cowards. Every single one. She's the only one that has an ounce of courage with Paige. It's the bottom line. What do they call them? Free agents. Basically, we tell you what to do.
Independent contractors.
Yeah, independent contractors. Yeah, they're not independent contractors. They are breaking the law. And the problem is, you have cowards and you have marketing and loyalty. Like, yeah. It's a sickness. It's a madness. Yeah, I don't know what to say except I appreciate her courage. And if you're with the WWE right now, you're pretty much a coward. Now, hold on. Let me answer that. Okay, I'm just waiting for someone to type out the comment. Yeah, okay, maybe I'm the biggest coward ever. Marine Corps, infantry, whatever. I've seen some hard times. Maybe I'm a coward. I turned down Vince McMahon. You don't have to say yes. You don't have to say yes. And that's the thing. It's so weird when you tell a story. Now, someone's clicking and writing the story. This is what I find weird. That person that's angry writing right now is defending a corporation over human beings. It's instant. Like if I say, yo, NHL screwed me in EA Sports, like, well, maybe it's your fault. Like, we are conditioned as human beings, the masses, to automatically take a corporation's side. And on top of that, like, even if they know they're wrong, they just look the other way. And then Vince McMahon and WWE is even a million times worse. Like, I find that to be amazing, you know? Like, that's what you tell me, Boom Boom. You've done this a lot. I call everyone a coward. They're like, you're a fucking coward. You know what I mean? You know someone's doing it. They're blindly defending WWE right fucking now. But, like, take away WWE. Take away the name. If it's your job, you know, it's your job. There's no way. And you have to stand up. And here's the thing. I always, let's bring it down to reality, because a lot of times it's like, oh, it's easy to pick on, you know, AJ Styles. It's easy to pick on John Cena. Let's dumb it down to our job. I always say this, and the bosses know I can be difficult to work with. I don't complain unless it's worth getting fired for. And this is worth getting fired for. It's insane. Like, how much does AJ have to do? How much does AJ have to give up? And here's the thing. He's going to sell it, and he's going to be like, oh, but I'm going to be on a WWE Twitch channel. Yeah. Zack Ryder. Like, there's a history of it just failing. What are they going to launch? What was it? Tout? It's just, I don't understand. And here's the thing. Like, if you're in FCW, NXT, sorry, I'm old. If you're in NXT and you're living from paycheck to paycheck, hey, dude, maybe it's not you. But AJ Styles, he ain't living paycheck to paycheck. How does AJ Styles not stand up for this? How? She's the only one with courage. And here's the thing. It's easy to tweet. It's easy to write a YouTube comment. But when's the last time you talked to your legit boss and said, nah, I think this is wrong? And you don't have to be disrespectful. You don't have to treat it like it's a podcast. Just go and be like, no, I think this is wrong. Because I used to always say it, like, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. But eventually you just become a bitch and you complain about everything. You got to take a deep breath and be like, is it wrong enough that it's worth losing your job? She's a hero in this story. She is. I don't know much about her, but I just respect her for her courage. All right, Booms, back to you, brother.
All right. Well, I mean, just to play devil's advocate here, and just for the sake of this conversation, to make this an interesting podcast, cynics could say, well, it may be a shitty contract, but they chose to sign that shitty contract. Nobody stuck a gun to their head. Nobody forced them to do that. And plus, there are other wrestling companies. I'm just saying that I'm just making a general argument here, and I'm not citing anybody specifically. And, you could say, well, there's several other companies. There's Impact. There's Ring of Honor. There's AEW. There's various independent companies. You've got companies in Mexico, Japan, Germany, the UK. Why not sign with one of them? That would be an argument that gets brought up.
Yes, and they should. They're cowards. The athletes should. But here's the thing. I know it's very political right now in the Americas, and I know you guys are yelling at each other, but let's get past that. Watch John Oliver break down the WWE. Watch people break down the WWE. What they are doing isn't that legal. There is a politician right now. I apologize. I forget his name. Let me just click on it real quick.
You talk about Andrew Yang?
Yeah. Now, a lot of people are like, okay, hold on. Let me do an American politician. My guy is great. The other guy is evil. Once my guy wins, we gotta come together. Oh man, my guy lost, and you guys sound ridiculous. Anyway, he has a point. Like, the people that believe that contracts and they are breaking the law. People a lot smarter than me have broke it down. Maybe we'll link to that John Oliver show. And the thing is, all that shit is old. Like, when that show came out, everyone in WWE, everyone in the wrestling world, from nerd to into business and everywhere in between, said, yeah, we already know this. That's the problem. The fact that John Oliver broke down why this is wrong, he did like a 20 to 40 minute segment. I apologize, I don't remember the length. And our response was, we know all this already. That's on us. We're not good. We're not good people. We're not as tough as her and Paige. We're just not good people. The fact that we know this stuff and we just let it slide, it's just ridiculous. I stopped watching WWE, and here's the worst part.
Hmm.
Boom Boom. You sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror and call yourself a fucking piece of shit too. If you're gonna if you're gonna sling shit, sometimes you got to throw shit in your face. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know where I'm getting at. I stopped watching WWE not because of the Middle East and not because of contracts. I literally don't watch WWE for one reason only. I do not find it entertaining anymore. And that is on me. That's on me. That's on you if you support it. But the fact that we all know, like, here's the thing: when baseball came out with steroids, a lot of people knew, but not everyone. We all know what WWE is doing. If you are any way connected to wrestling, if you're a fan that's went online once, we all know, and we did nothing. I know this might be over the top. She's the hero. Go on.
Well, Coco, you're starting to ramble here, but this is what I'm here for, to ring you back in. And another, argument. Okay, you're talking. Well, what does an AJ Styles speak of? Why don't like Drew McIntyre?
He's a coward.
Or Randy
They're
Orton?
cowards.
It's okay. It's okay to, okay, that's your opinion. That's fine.
No, they are.
But do you think people like I don't know, like Akira Tozawa, Wesley Blake, Titus O'Neil, R-Truth? Do you think people like Shelton Benjamin? Do you think people like, Riddick Moss, people like Noam Dar? Do you think people, Bo Dallas? Do you think people like that are in any position to, to voice any kind of complaints? Because they may not get hired by any other company.
All right. First off, I just want to make this clear. If you're living from paycheck to paycheck, don't speak up. That's just the reality. You gotta fucking eat. You gotta have food. You know what I mean? It's just the reality. Okay. We've all been there. If you're not living paycheck to paycheck, you're a coward. Period. End of story. So like these guys that are living paycheck to paycheck, living a dream, yeah. But the AJ Styles of the world, he's not living paycheck to paycheck. He's a coward. Period. Now here's the thing: if Randy Orton and John Cena don't say anything, they probably don't stream. So it's like, all right, you're a selfish prick, but we knew that already. AJ, what do they have to take away from you? What, you're gonna host the WWE stream? All right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And when you get fired from WWE or you get let go, and I don't know. It's just
all right. Coco, let me kind of get us back on track here. Let me get us back on track here. I think a lot of this is because because of the pandemic. Because
no, it's not.
Well, let me make my argument here, and then you can tell me I'm full of shit later.
All right.
Touring has been WWE's bread and butter for at least probably the last 40 years. Because even back in the day, back in the 70s, back in the 80s, even into the 90s. A bulk of their money was made by touring, because this is what they would do. Now, historically, their model would be, you would have an A crew, a B crew, and a C crew. And you would go on loops. Like your A towns would be like, New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Philadelphia, Miami, places like that. And then you'd have like B towns. They would be slightly smaller. They would probably be places like Nashville, probably places like Atlanta. And then you would have C towns that would be like Lowell, Massachusetts, or Scranton, Pennsylvania. And what they would do is they would go out and tour like several days out of the week, and then they would come to like one place collectively where they would, at least once a month, they would go to like one building. And that's where they would shoot promos. They would shoot all this stuff for the upcoming angles. They would do the squash matches, which you would see syndicated out on TV. And they would shoot like a whole month's worth of tapings right there at that one building over the course like a day or two, and then they go back out on the road. Because again, that's where all the money was. In fact, that's where we get the term jobber. Most people think a jobber is someone who loses all the time. No, a jobber back in the wrestling context back in the day was somebody who was not on tour with the company, not on tour. This was the NWA, this was WWF, AWA, whatever. This is the way it worked. They would come in, they would specifically bring in that talent to lose, but they wouldn't be going out on tour with them. So they get paid for that one match that they did. But they'd go out on, but the rest of the main roster would go around. They'd basically do like the same match, on a loop until the next month. And now, and the same thing holds true now because that's how WWE made its money by touring. Well, with the pandemic, they're not touring. They're doing Raws and SmackDowns in the Thunderdome. They've cut back on all that. You got to think you're not really selling all that much merchandise. I don't know what their sales are now.
They're making very good profits. That's what makes this story sadder.
So a lot of the talent, because if you're supposed to get like a percentage of like a percentage or however much of merchandise sales or ticket sales or whatever, and some of that's been taken away. Now you turn to alternative revenue streams, which now you're spending more time at home, so you've got more time. So why not stream on Twitch? Now, Coco, I know you're on Twitch, and without getting into dollars and cents, how lucrative is that to be on to stream on Twitch and collect revenue from them?
I'm just a schmuck, but if you're someone famous, you can make good money. And I know this might not sound right, but if you're a woman, you can make really good money.
No, I mean, look, I mean,
it is what it is.
I mean, I understand. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I see that all the time. Okay, I go over and watch Dave Coco's Twitch stream, Twitch TV / KocoSports, KOCO Sports. He does a lot of games poorly there. But when you get on there and you click on there, I mean, you see some girls, I mean, showing off the goods, if you catch my drift.
Yeah, well, they're not supposed to be, but yeah, it happens. But the thing is, it's just a creative way to support someone, and so I don't know. You can make good money at it, especially if you have a big name behind you.
I'm just kind of wondering, Coco, what does it say about WWE that where a talent can go on Twitch or OnlyFans or Cameo or whatever and make more money doing that than they can with WWE?
That just shows you how low the contracts are. I think the pandemic has obviously hurt a lot of things, but a lot of pieces of I don't know why I'm censoring myself. We don't get fucking ad revenue here. A lot of pieces of shit are taking advantage of it. This isn't a COVID problem. This is controlling your talent and having unfair contracts thing.
Okay.
So, like, even if they had the house shows, why couldn't they still do this? Like, here's the thing. If you're streaming Twitch and, you're missing shows because of Twitch, that's another thing. Like, oh, dude, we got to talk. You know what I mean? You got to show. But if the talent, let's just pick on AJ Styles. If the talent shows up on time, does what he's supposed to the best of his ability or her ability, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There should be no problems. Especially if you keep saying you're an independent contractor or whatever loophole they have.
Coco, you mentioned independent contractor, and there was a lot are WWE superstars independent contractors or not? According to WWE says they are, but other people, some of the talent and even some outsiders say no, they're not. So I decided to look it up, and I just typed in definition of independent contractor, and I'm going to read from you now from irs.gov. Okay, this is like so.
Is that a wrestling faction?
Yeah. I think that's Bo Dallas, Bray Wyatt, and Erwin R. Shyster.
Nice.
All right, and I'm quoting here from this. The general rule is that an individual who is an independent contractor, if the payer has the right to control or direct the result of the work and not what will be done and how it will be done, the earnings of a person who is working as an independent contractor are subject to self-employment tax. All right, and then it goes down like this in a couple paragraphs down, and it says, and again, I'm quoting here from irs.gov. This is the legal, tax, definition of an independent contractor. You are not an independent contractor if you perform services that can be controlled by an employer, meaning what will be done and how it will be done. This applies even if you are giving freedom of action. What matters is that the employer has the legal right to control the details of how the services are performed. End quote.
Got it. So what is that?
I'm just reading you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
yeah. So
reading you
so
from the
so
IRS's website. That's what they defined as an independent
so
contractor.
can they stream? That's the big question. Can they stream? Is it against the rules to stream? I don't know. I
Well,
honestly don't
it's
know.
say
I just know that they have to be taken care of more, and they have to get a union, and they
well,
have to
this
stand
sounds
up.
like they're not because right there it says, you know, if you can be controlled by an employer about what will be done and how it will be done, even if you are given freedom of action, and this employer has the right to control the details of how your services are performed. Now, yeah, I
I don't
mean,
know. That
maybe
just
it's
sounds
not.
like legal jumble. That means the rich person wins. Like a lot of these laws, and I'm not a lawyer. That's why I think we should, source, the one show I mentioned earlier. But a lot of these laws are there to protect the wealthy, and an independent contractor, you should be able to go wherever you want. You should be able to do whatever you want, you know? And
Mhm.
even then, I don't understand, like, if they can control everything, then what's the point of independent
Well,
contractor
look,
besides
I think you missed the
Loop's
point
tax
on this.
hole?
When as soon as I started reading from the IRS, you just kind of like your brain was like, you know what, you can stay here if you want to, Coco, but I'm out of here.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm just saying,
Go,
I'm just
all right,
reading
break it
the,
down. Break it
I'm
down. Can they
reading,
stream?
I am
Like,
reading the definition of what is considered to be an independent contractor via the IRS. Now, either the WWE superstars fall into that category or they do not. That's just it's going to be either or. They can't. There's no, you know, that's what a court's going to have to decide. I'm not saying we have to decide it. The
yeah, yeah.
audience out there, they can decide it. I just read you the definition. So either they do or they do not fall. There's no in between. You're not halfway pregnant. Either you are or you are not. In this case, either you are an independent contractor or you are not an independent contractor. And right now, there's argument is that they are not. So they're going to have to put that in front of a court, and they're going to have to let a court decide that. And I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know some of the terminology that the court may have to consider.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the lawyers are there because I just know with that, well, like I just zoned out. I was like, got it. Like, um,
Don't got it. Don't got it.
definitely get your own lawyer. Because the thing is, like even I have my own lawyer, and I'm just a fucking schmuck. Definitely get your own lawyer. Like I have a lawyer, and like, I want to pay the least amount of taxes and be left alone. Like, got it, got it. I'm on it. So definitely get a lawyer. But I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. But I know that John Oliver broke it down more. I know people smarter than me has broke it down. And to me, it doesn't seem like they are. But once again, I'm not a lawyer and all that fun stuff.
hmm Now, to kind of expound upon this a little bit further, Nick Hossman with WrestlingInc.com wrote a nice article on this. It's called "How Pro Wrestlers Can Form a Union in the Next Year, with or without SAG-AFTRA." So I mean, he did a pretty good job of breaking it down. Maybe I could just kind of give you the highlights here. Is excuse me, I got a frog in my throat there. Um, there's a lot of processes they're going to have to go to, and one could be that the pro wrestlers themselves would have to form their own union. And what they would have to do is have wrestlers start to fill out what's called union authorization cards. Now, if 30% of the roster sign that, uh, they they're going to submit those to the National Labor Relations Board, and then the board there will commence the process to hold an election, and they would decide whether or not they had the right amount of authorization cards collected to qualify for a union. So for 30% right now,
Hold
um,
on. Can I just say something real quick?
yeah,
If they
absolutely.
need 30%, that means 30% of the roster just got let go and going to AEW.
I'm gonna talk. I'll cover that in just 1 second, Coco.
All
Don't
right,
get
go
ahead of
ahead.
me now. Well, I did a little googling around, and according to Sportskeeda, WWE has roughly 207 superstars under contract. Now, do all of them make air? No, because remember, you still got some trainees with NXT who are just still training. They're not on air. You've got all kinds, various different roles. I mean, you've got people like John Cena. They're under contract, but they're not on TV wrestling right now. But so according to my math here, if 30% of that, you would have to get roughly 62 superstars to fill out those cards. Now, Coco, as he just said anybody caught filing these cards is going to get fired. Well, you can't do that. That's illegal. If somebody was trying, you can't stop people from forming a union. That's a violation of somebody's constitutional rights. So if somebody was to do that, they would have to file a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board, and if it was found to have merit, it's either going to have to be settled, adjudicated, and you could have the termination overturned, and that fired person receiving compensation for lost wages, and the employer may be required to publicly post notice regarding any violations of the National Labor Relations Act. So you're protected on that end, and I really doubt WWE is going to want that kind of a legal battle because it's going to be a bad look for them. Some wrestlers start kicking around the idea of forming a union. They start firing people. They say no, we were wrongfully terminated for trying to fire a union. That that's going to get picked up by the mainstream press.
No, it won't. I don't think it will. I think you have a lot more faith in the system than I do. Let's just look at the COVID situation. They solved that problem. I think this is a problem that goes away, and I don't think you're going to get how many they need. 62.
Roughly 62.
Let's just round up 65, okay? There's no way, dude. Have you met any of these WWE superstars behind the scene? You're not getting 65 to sign. You know what I mean? Because none of that. But then, like, even if they don't fire you, they just job you out until your contract's up.
Here's the thing, but here's how you would get around this. Now, it was brought up in the article that UFC fighter Leslie Smith did something similar with ProjectSpearhead.com, and they were trying to form a reunion there, and the site included a private authorization card portal where talent could submit their names anonymously, and then that information was sent to a lawyer who would then, sent that over to the National Relations Board. Now, you could probably do that anonymously, and I think if you could set up something similar without fear of repercussion or whatever, I think you might. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm just saying you've got a better shot of it happening.
I don't know. I just have very little faith in human beings doing the right thing. Like, thanks, Dave. Thanks for the fucking vote of confidence. I hope it happens, but it won't. So
and then you would get into either a couple things. Now, either the wrestlers would have to form their own union, or they would have to join SAG-AFTRA. And by the way, just to clarify thing, it's the Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. That's what the acronym stands for. Just so I'm clear.
You know what? That would be the best thing in the world. Because here's the thing. I always say this. You know how much I hate John Cena. It's clear. I do not like this man. He's always been underpaid. Mm-hmm. Every step of the way, he's been underpaid. And here's the thing. You would eliminate half the roster. The roster would be taken care of. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It would be different. Because think about it. You know how much bank someone like John Cena. Remember John Cena, Randy Orton, and Dave Bautista when they ruined pro wrestling? They were on top of the world, always on television. If they were part of SAG, they would have got a hell of a lot more money. So it's interesting because the thing is, I don't think you wouldn't have many mid-carders. I think this would change the business forever.
Yeah, it would definitely change because, at that point, you could probably, look at, like, players' associations right now with, like, Major League Baseball or the NFL. You have a minimum. You have, like, a league minimum.
Yeah.
So you could have people there that could probably make a minimum amount of money, and plus it would probably open up the doors to, health insurance or even, which I think would be huge, would be a pension.
Yeah.
Or 401k, some kind of retirement. I think that would, because how many times have we heard, about the old wrestler who didn't save his money, writing another book or something claiming about how the promoter screwed them.
Yeah, it's hard times for those guys. Hard times.
So I think if you set up something here, you could. Now, as far as union dues, I don't know how that would work about how they would decide how much union dues would be, how they would pay them. If it'd be monthly, annually, biannually. I'm not an expert on that. But bottom line is, okay. So if they collect enough of these authorization cards, say they get the 30% to even go ahead here. Now, what's expected to happen is you could WWE would probably argue that they're not entitled to unionize because their superstars are considered quote unquote independent contractors and they're not employees. But if that happens, then WWE then they have to prove they are independent contractors and not employees. It doesn't matter how the WWE labels them; they have to actually prove that they meet the legal definition of an independent contractor. The burden's on them.
Well, here's the part. It's very interesting from a law aspect, and I'm not smart enough to figure it out. This is all I'm going to say. I don't think anyone does it. I think the world is too afraid. I think, you know what I mean? I could be wrong. Maybe I'm negative. But I've met a lot of these wrestlers. They're not going to do it. Now, I'd love to be proven wrong. When you're as negative as me, people like.
Well, and here's another thing, Coco. What's to stop people from Zelina Vega going, look, they said I was an independent contractor, so I set up a Twitch channel. That has nothing to do with wrestling. It's not direct competition with WWE in anything. So, and they told me I had to shut it down. And I said no, because, you said I'm an independent contractor, which means I can do this. It's not in conflict of anything. And then they fired me. Who's to say that they don't go in front of, they don't file a complaint right there for wrongful termination?
Yeah, no, and that's the thing.
It's just tough because right now, this is proof. Right now, Zelina Vega is proof. And hell, you've even got Mike Bennett even saying start to speak up now. So you've got some of these former guys going. You know what?
Oh, former guys will definitely speak up. The people inside the company.
Could get the ball rolling.
Yeah, she's the only one that's brave in this whole situation, and maybe Paige. Until other people step up, I don't see it. Like, she's the key of changing WWE forever. And I don't know if she's the strongest wrestler right now. Throw Paige in there. Is she strong enough to go through this? That's another thing, So, right now, I see her as a hero. Hopefully she's a fighter. She's brave. But, it wears you down. Because, I'm trying to get NHL 94 Rewind from EA Sports, and I'm just so worn down that I gave up. Like, whatever, they lied, they screwed me, screw it. Now, you got to imagine, this is going to be her life for what, a year, 2-3 years? So, she's brave, but is she a fighter? We'll find out.
And so after that, let's just say they collect all this stuff. Then what they have to do is, determine that they had enough people to participate. Let's say they got 30% or more than 30% or whatever, and then they would have to vote if they wanted to. If basically they have to have 50% plus one, so simple majority participate in the election voted yes to that a formal union for pro wrestlers would be formed. However, the second route would be they could join an existing union.
I think the only way things change for the better is they join an existing union. That's just me as an outsider looking in.
Yeah, and for that to happen, they'd have to collect the same number of authorization cards. They take that to the NLRB, and then they'd have to get signatures from SAG-AFTRA. And they would have to take those cards to the company to see if WWE would acknowledge the union. And if the company said no, the company, WWE could say yes, and then boom, now they've got people who are in SAG-AFTRA, who are in the locker room. But if they says no, then they have to take the cards again to the NLRB. They have to look over the case, and then they would have to see if there was merit to the case, and then they would have some of the wrestlers have to vote to have SAG-AFTRA as their representation. If the wrestlers voted yes, they could go into collective bargaining, and so.
I hope we find that timeline, because it'll be very interesting to see what happens. It's going to be very interesting because it's either going to kill WWE or make it better, but it will definitely change it forever. So it would be interesting. That's the timeline I hope we go down. So Zelina Vega, just a shout out. Thank you for being awesome. We need more brave people like you. And a lot of people they'll mock it. They're going to mock it. But when they go to work and see something wrong in their company, they're not going to say anything.
Yeah. I really don't have a problem with them trying to set up a union as long as it's not compulsory. If you have, look, I'm all for them unionizing. If they want representation, you should be allowed. Hell, this is America. You've got First Amendment rights. You have the right to assemble peaceably. You have, a right to association. So if you want to form your own union, fine. But I'd still prefer it if they kept it right to work where if you wanted to join the union, you could. But if you didn't want to join the union, you didn't have to, and it didn't affect your employment either way.
What? Choices?
Yeah, no, I'm a big choice guy.
I'm a big choice guy too. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Maybe we'll check in. How about this? Prediction. My prediction, it phases out. Nothing changes. The machine keeps rolling. Your prediction, Boom Boom?
Pain.
Well, if Zelina Vega is going to keep fighting, it's going to be a painful life for her.
I don't know. I don't, because for me, it's too early because I want to see if somebody actually, it's one thing for Zelina Vega to talk with SAG-AFTRA, and it's one thing to talk about, well, are they or are they not independent contractors? It's actually going to take somebody taking that first step. Somebody's going to have to take, if nobody takes that first step, then yeah, they made a big stink about it, but then in the end, nothing happened. But I think if somebody gets that bolt, who's to say that they're not somebody in that locker room right now? It's not like, okay, guys, I think maybe we should do this, but we got to have 30% here. So maybe they're trying to rally up support. Maybe if they can get like 20 people. I'm just saying, they got to have 62. It's okay. Okay, let's get some support here, and maybe it's okay. We need 62, so we got 20. So. Okay, maybe they're doing that right now. They're trying to build up support because maybe that's what they're trying to do, or maybe they're trying to set up an anonymous website where they can just have people, fill out the cards anonymously, so that way they don't feel like they're in the crosshairs.
Bro, can I just say something real quick?
Everything's going to depend on what's happening behind the scenes.
Can I just reenact a conversation that's going to happen in WWE?
Mm-hmm.
Yo, Seamus, man, we're trying to get a union together. Seamus, where you going? Vince!
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. Anyway, let's focus on the positives. Zelina Vega, she challenged the system. Will the system change? Who knows? But hopefully she lands on her feet either way. And boom. We're not that popular anymore. We kind of died off because, I decided to stop doing shows for 276 years. But how many comments blindly defending WWE before they even watch the whole video? What's the over-under?
Oh, I would say 55%.
55%? All right. I'm going high as 70. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Anyway.
There are people. They're just going to defend WWE, but as you constantly say, WWE success is not your success, and just because you back WWE does not mean that, like, you're better, smarter, or that they're going to give you a job.
Here's the thing. I'm trying to think. Do some self-evaluation. Is there a company that you love? I don't have to be WWE. It could be anything. You know what I mean? Maybe Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Maybe a beer. Maybe Sony. Maybe Panasonic. Maybe Marvel. Is there a company that you love so much that you'd look away that much? We could pull up Apple and PC, but that's a topic. But is there something that you love a product? It could be anything. It could be entertainment. You love it so much that if they did this shit, you would blindly defend them. I don't have a product like that.
I don't think so. There are, I guess, celebrities, entities, whatever you want to call it, that's like, I defend them like they're fucking paying me, but not to that extent.
Yeah, it's kind of weird what's going on. Anyway, Booms, it's getting late here in Japan. I gotta upload this. Booms, hot tag to you. Let's wrap this bad boy up, sir.
Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and I want to say check us out, KocoSports.com. That's KoCoSports.com. It's run for combat sports, where the world goes to kick ass, and most importantly, where it's okay to be a passionate fan. Be sure to like, subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. You can find Dave Coco streaming NHL, Madden, WWE Battlegrounds, Fall Guys, all poorly at Twitch TV /Koco Sports. You also need to visit DaveCoco.com. He's got one novel out, Operation Freak Show. He's got his second novel, Lucky the Orphan, coming out. I will say that Operation Freak Show for mature audiences, Lucky the Orphan for young adults. So if you're kind of like, hey, we're getting close to Christmas, it'd be something good. Like if you got, I don't want to say like tweens, or somewhere in that area, and you're looking for like, decent book for them to read over the Christmas break, Lucky the Orphan would probably be a good one for them to read. It's, pretty entertaining read there. And let's see, we're hopefully going to have more content coming up. Be sure to check out our new podcast, 5 Stars or Better. We're making our trek through all the matches that Dave Meltzer ranked 5 stars or better. And so we're marching through that, and we'd like you to check it out with us. Coco, to you.
Hey, man. I love you, man. Appreciate it. Boom Boom is in the middle of a huge move, so down in the comments, say congrats, Boom Boom. And,
this might actually be the last show that unless we do one tomorrow, this might actually be the last show I do from Richmond.
Oh, moving on. I want to say thank you. And guys, if you've lasted through these rough times, we really appreciate it. We have big plans. We just don't have time. So we're hoping slowly but surely we come back. Those that have been patient understand. We know that when we do go full time after Boom Boom's move, and after I get out of this contract that I'm in, we'll just see it as rebuilding. But if you guys are with us, I appreciate it, man. Much love. And yeah, that's about it. Check out DaveCoco.com because I plan on doing a bunch of different things from cartoons to books to video games. And I want to go back to full-time nerding. And me and Bear Friend are working on that big time. And yeah. All right, brother. I love you. Internet Infantry, much love. With that, I am over. Hey, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum.